What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hooligans. Please hit that like button. More likes, more hooligans. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. I'm going to read through everything, make sure everything is running smoothly, and we'll go over the schedule. What's up, M Rank? It's been a minute. Welcome to the live. What's up, Adrian? What's up, GQ? What's up, Anthony? What's up, Bell? What's up, Miguel? What's up, George? What's up, Robert? What's up, Animated Adventure? Happy Freedom Hooligans. What's up, JP? What's up, Matthew? What's up, Tony? What's up, Snugs? Happy Freedom. I appreciate you, Snugs. What's up, Sam? What's up, Cy Run? What's up, Debacales? There's a couple names I ain't seen in a while. Appreciate you guys being here. What's up, Damon Walker? What's up, Kimberly? Happy Freedom Hooligans. What's up, Spank? What's up, everyone on the JeffMAC Live YouTube channel? What's up, Daryl? Happy Freedom. What's up, everyone on Twitch? What's up, John? Happy Freedom. John Gonzo. Just gonna unmute the mic. I'm so tired of holding that button. That's what she said. Not sure how today is gonna go. We got a lot to cover, but I cannot sit here all day. I have to get my taxes done. I was working on it till like 4:30 in the morning. I have 80 documents prepared. I probably have another 80 I have to prepare. Doing taxes is difficult for me. I have a lot of endeavors. What's up, everyone on Odyssey? What's up, Nefties? What's up, Anthony? What's up, everyone on Rumble? 65 already on Rumble. What's up, Slowly TV? What's up, Mike Drop? What's up, Amanda? What's up, KS4? What's up, Screaming Eagle? What's up, Desert Runner? What's up, Ghostly? What's up, Serum? What's up, Rasta? Happy Freedom, you hooligans. Let's see. Sam, you're omnipresent. What's up, everyone on JeffMacLive.com? Alright, let's see. On the schedule today, what is this? I have no idea what that is. Alright, so at 3 o'clock, we have the White House Press Briefing with KJP, lying and crying on stage. At 5 o'clock, we have Old Man Walter and Jill Handler hosting a reception celebration Women's History Month, which I thought we already did that. But I don't know. There's so many holidays now. I can't keep track of it. And I realized after the live yesterday that we didn't even cover Old Man Walter at 5 o'clock. We covered so much stuff, and then I ended the live, and then like 15 minutes later, Old Man Walter went live, and I didn't realize it till I was like doing my taxes, and I was editing footage and stuff from yesterday. Let's see. So we'll be starting off today with a video that is titled "The Left Wants to Control What Your Kids Learn." A very short video talking about how parents think they know, or schools think they know more than parents do about what's good for their kid or kids. Then we're going to cover an article that is titled "Pentagon Officials Speculate Alien Mothership Could Send Mini Probes to Earth." We covered that when that information first broke, but now we have access to the actual draft that was wrote by the Pentagon. We're not going to go over the whole draft. It's 6 minutes, or it's 6 minutes. It's 6 pages long. But we're going to skim through the article and read it out to you guys. I'll give you guys the link, but then I'll also give you the link to the draft document so you can read the actual Pentagon draft if you want to hear about aliens. You know stuff's messed up if they're over here talking about aliens just nonchalantly. They even reference in 2017, like the last time we seen an alien ship or something, as if that was official. That was the first official alien ship or something. I don't know. It's something else. Then after that, we're going to cover a video that is titled "Miami Beach Imposes Curfew After Spring Break Violence." That didn't take very long. And then we have a video that is titled "LA Schools Shut as Workers Go on 3-Day Strike." We actually covered that live yesterday on the free speech platforms for a good little bit there. It's a big BLM recruiting rally where they're recruiting students and stuff. It's masked up to be something else, but they have a banner. It says BLM you know, in schools or something like that. I mean, it's all spelled out, but it's a BLM thing. They're trying to act like it's not. They're trying to act like it's for students and teachers and da-da-da-da-da, but it's not. It's a BLM recruitment deal. You'll see. And then we'll be covering the award ceremony that we missed yesterday with Old Man Walter and Jill Handler. Then after that, we're going to wrap things up on YouTube. Well, we'll see what time it is. By that time, it may be 3 o'clock by then, Eastern time. Then we can cover the press briefing. Then we'll move to the free speech platforms. We'll see how it goes. But either way, once we move to the free speech platforms, we're going to cover a video that talks about NYPD gang takedown, where they took down a whole gang, which is, it's kind of iffy. It's good because apparently this gang was actually doing things, but in reality, it's your constitutional right to form a gang. As silly as that sounds, it is. But then they have so many laws, you know, conspiracy to gang violence and stuff like that. Now, these guys were actually doing bad stuff. They were making music videos and stuff like that. They were doing bad stuff. They were not just enforcing their constitutional right to assemble. They were actually doing bad things. But then after that, we're going to cover a video that's talking about the Orange Eagle and preparations that are going underway for that. But I think it's going to be a giant psyop. I think it's going to be just like the J6 anniversary they did last year, where they had all the gates out and all the live streamers were there. There was like maybe 12 people sitting there with Orange Eagle flags and stuff like that. And the only person arrested was a Fed. They arrested a Fed. So he was dressed as a civilian, and he was the only arrest made that day. I think that's what's going to happen with this. I don't think we're going to see a lot of action. Even in Mar-a-Lago yesterday for the video that we covered, it was 12 people, maybe 20 people at tops rallying for the Orange Eagle. It was nothing. It was barely more than we saw in Lower Manhattan. Actually, I don't know. There might have been more people in the Lower Manhattan video that we covered with Right Side Broadcasting. That was then what was at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. So we will see how it goes. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to pull up this video. The left controls what your kids learn. Like I said, it's very short. Talking about schools think they know more than parents do. So give me a second here. As soon as I go live, Cat Daniels wants to come over here and scream in my face. Alright, give me a second here. I'm going to read through the chat really quick and we'll get this started. Dr. No Name, ET Phone Home. I know, you know, it's so old. I was wondering if people were even going to get the reference. It's an oldie but a goodie. What's up, Kevin? What's up, Paul? What's up, Lone Wolf? Seen a lot of names I ain't seen in a while. What's up, Cornish? What's up, Mr. Beansy Beans? Happy freedom. What's up, Craig Swaffin? Heck yeah, 70 over on Rumble. You guys are awesome. What's up, Donna Sparks? Happy freedom. What's up, Nefties? Appreciate you guys watching on JeffMacLive.com. All right, hooligans, let's get her started.
Think they know what's best when it comes to your kids' education. A proposed bill in Georgia wants to give parents more say in which schools their kids go to. But a Democrat lawmaker says not so fast. She thinks some moms and dads are too stupid to know what's best.
A lot of those parents did not finish high school. I am extremely concerned that we would put money in their hands and that entire piece of life in the hands of parents who are not qualified to make those decisions, and they don't have the money to put in the difference that their child would need to attend a private school.
You know, that is so shocking. It is so disgusting. I can't even,
We're not going to sit there and listen to those people ramble on. But once again, schools are attacking parents. You know, they were, who was it, the FBI or something said that parents are potential terrorists because they were going to the school board meetings being disgruntled with what the schools were doing. Back at it again. Parents are too stupid to know what's best for their kids because they didn't graduate high school. What? Last I heard, you didn't have to take a test to have a kid. There's no parental instinct anymore. It's just out the window. I mean, unless you need to pay child support, then all of a sudden they got all these morals and regulations and all this other stuff they want to come for you. But anything other than that, nope, you're just too stupid to know what's good for your kid. Makes no sense. Everything is weaponized now. You gotta like look over both shoulders all day, every day. It's ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous. Infuriating. All right, moving forward before I just piss myself off. Let's see. I think I'm gonna wait on this article. I don't want to go straight into the article. We'll do the article, then we'll do the old man Walter stuff. But next, we're gonna cover a video talking about Miami Beach imposes curfew after spring break violence. Look at this guy in his little pink shirt trying to appeal to the masses. Yes, sir. All right, let's get her started.
The city of Miami Beach taking some drastic measures after a rash of spring break violence.
It includes a midnight curfew after 2 deadly shootings. Christine Russo here with more for us. Christine.
Steve, Teresa, a violent spring break weekend in Miami's South Beach. Police there imposed a nighttime curfew, and this isn't the first time the city has taken measures like this. Actually, last year, restrictions were implemented after 5 people were injured in shootings. The mayor of Miami Beach says he wants to cancel spring break altogether in their city. The city of Miami Beach issued a state of emergency after 2 deadly shootings this weekend. Officials there implemented a midnight to 6 a.m. curfew in the South Beach neighborhood Sunday.
The volume of people in our city, the unruly nature of too many, and the presence of guns has created a peril that cannot go unchecked, especially in the evenings. Sales of alcohol after 6 p.m. are also prohibited there. Those who actually live in the city say spring break violence and chaos has become more common since the pandemic.
South Florida was one of the only places that was open, and so we just had people from everywhere. Longtime Miami Beach real estate advisor and former resident Ivan Chorney says spring break crowds have become more intense in the past few years. Whatever the pandemic was bringing out in people, like being cooped up, whatever it was, like people were letting it out here in Miami Beach. And since spring break happens at different times for colleges across the country, it's not just one particular week where crowds roll in, but a consistent influx of tourists and college kids. Officials say the goal of the curfew is to dissuade late night violence, which also affects locals who live and work there. We can't just sit by idly and let, people destroy the beach and destroy the reputation, the ability to go about doing business, the ability for someone like me to sell some of the finest real estate in the world. Like I have to do that, a couple blocks away from where people are getting shot.
Police say they have arrested a suspect
messed up.
in Sunday's shooting. Meanwhile, Miami Beach officials say they also intend to impose additional curfew limits from this coming Thursday until next Monday. Teresa, Steve.
Very well. All right. Thanks, Christine.
Gotta shut the city down because everybody's acting like assholes. Can't even buy alcohol after 6 o'clock. What are you gonna do for spring break? You gonna sit around? I don't know. Everything's just getting worse and worse. This guy trying to sell some of the finest real estate just a couple blocks away from people are getting shot. Okay, that is not good. There's no accountability for the wicked. The only free people are criminals right now. Everybody else, they're held to some sort of unfair standard. It's a bunch of nonsense. That's why people are so edgy and pissy and untrusting to each other. It's because everybody's being treated unfairly except for criminals. They just get let go if they even get arrested. It's crazy how we only seen that with protesters and now it's everybody. It's everybody. People stealing stuff, just walking out of stores with shopping carts full of goods, not paying for anything. Just let them go. It doesn't matter. I don't know. It makes no sense. Spark, remember when MTV did spring break specials? Is MTV still a thing? I haven't seen live TV since like Flavor of Love and stuff was on TV. I was like 16 or 17 the last time I seen live TV. I don't even know what that's like. It's probably terrible. It's probably terrible with all the propaganda we see with just advertisement on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, where you got shape-shifting predators trying to sell you makeup or tell you what kind of toothpaste to buy and all kinds of stuff like that. Netflix has got cartoon characters that acting like toasters, trying to tell kids to do bad things against parents' wishes, the perversion of man. God only knows what live TV is like. It's probably terrible. Mr. Beansy Beans, nothing like the 80s MTV I missed the most. Yeah, I wasn't really around back then. Things were a lot more free back then, I know that. What's up, man? Are you okay? Happy freedom. Yeah, Craig Swafford, exactly. Serum, are you starting the protest off? You getting it started? Protesting for the spring breakers. What's up, Livid Review? Happy freedom. Thanks for watching on JeffMacLive.com. Alright, so this next video is titled Los Angeles Schools Shut as Workers Go on 3-Day Strike. They'll probably be on strike again today. We actually covered this live yesterday, but then I came across this video and I thought I would show everybody on YouTube what we covered on the free speech platforms yesterday. For those of you that did not make it over to the free speech platforms for whatever reason. All right, hooligans, let's get her started.
Underpaid for years. That's what thousands of school workers in the United States' second largest school district say they have to put up with as they kicked off a 3-day strike in Los Angeles on Tuesday. The employees gathered outside the LA Unified School District headquarters, shouting slogans and raising placards. They pressed for a
Okay, so I want to point something out. See all the red hats? It's pretty interesting, right? This guy right here with the white symbol on his hat, lots of individuals in the crowd all have that hat on. It has the power fist on it. They're BLM hats that are made to look like MAGA hats, which is really interesting.
30% pay rise along with other demands. Local 99 of the Service Employees International Union says many of its 30,000 members, including school bus drivers, custodians, cafeteria workers, and classroom assistants, earn so-called poverty wages averaging just $25,000 a year. Teachers also came out in support of the striking workers. Finlay Bunting was among them.
See their shirts? Education Workers United, power fist. Like right here. Boom, power fist.
As teachers, we spend a lot of time with this support staff. They're just magnificent. They work their...
See the yellow sign over there with all the fists on it? That's a BLM sign. It's all spelled out. Like this is a recruitment rally, but they're trying to masquerade it as if it's some sort of cry for help for teachers and students in LA.
Their asses off, and they've been starving. They've been underpaid for years, and these negotiations have gone.
And they did the chants.
Without any progress. It's a typical LAUSD thing. They can't get off their butts and negotiate and get this done.
The strike is the latest in a series of job actions by education workers across the country who complain of burnout and low wages, leading to a
Making Black Lives Matter in schools is what that sign says.
teacher shortage in many parts of the US. LA School Superintendent Alberto Carvalho has acknowledged workers have been underpaid for years, and the district was committed to reaching a deal. The strike has disrupted class for nearly 500,000 students in LA, many who rely on schools for meals, counseling, and other social services. Dozens of meal distribution sites opened on Tuesday, giving out free food for students as schools are shut.
Starting to do that recruitment. We seen it last year too. They were staging school walkouts, and then they would go out there and tell them that they're being oppressed by their parents and they're being oppressed by teachers, and they should hit the streets and set stuff on fire and all this other dumb stuff. And it's already starting. It's gonna be spicy this summer. I can already tell. It is gonna be spicy. You guys are gonna have to get used to going over those free speech platforms, because we're not gonna be able to show this stuff on YouTube. They say one wrong thing and there's specific strikes that you can get that you can't come back from. You don't just have to worry about getting 3 strikes. There's certain kind of strikes that you get, you're done. You're just done. And dealing with skin tone is one of those things. So it's not the old YouTube days. It's not the way it used to be. You guys got to get used to going to these free speech platforms, because we were live for 3 hours yesterday. We were only live for 54 minutes on YouTube yesterday, but we were live for over 3 hours yesterday on all the other platforms. It's rough stuff. It is very difficult to show you guys what's actually going on the YouTube platform, but I wanted to show you guys that video because we covered that live, and we heard what those people were saying and the way that they were molding the minds of the students that were watching and stuff like that. And then they had them all chant things that I haven't seen in years, where they would say, you know, repeat after me, and then they would say something and the whole crowd would repeat it back, like the cult-like chants. Not just the, you know, hands up, don't shoot, which they don't even say that anymore because it's not about police brutality anymore, but repeat after me kind of stuff, or what you should think, or what you should feel, or what you should do. But you're free. You're free as long as you do what I say. They were doing a lot of that yesterday. There was a lot of recruiting going on, and it's supposed to go on for 3 days, so there's a chance that stuff's going to kick off again today, but it'll only be on the free speech platforms, so it is what it is. Hey, I appreciate you, Spark. Robert, I don't know what that is. I don't watch Crowder. A lot of people bring me Crowder stuff or compare me to Crowder in a negative way. Not you hooligans, but, you know, goofy softies and stuff in the chat, or not the chat, but the comment section. But I don't actually watch Crowder. I've just seen a few minutes here and there. I've never sat there and actually watched this stuff, other than the stuff that we covered, because we covered him yesterday with AJ. Just reading through the chat really quick before we move forward. What's up, King Killer? Happy freedom. Desert Runner. I worked in California elementary school. Everything in the library is BLM. Yeah, that, I don't know. It's fine to have the freedom to be able to experience what you want, but to have agendas pushed on kids, and like parents don't know. It's not like you get a packet sent home like, hey, this is what your kid's gonna be learning all year, or these are the books we have in the library that we're gonna force them to read and do book reports on. It's like a big secret. Because most parents are just like, hey, go to school so I can go to work because I need someone to watch you for 8 hours. And for the longest time, I think parents didn't even think about what was happening at school because you just compare it to when you were in school. You're like, well, when I was in school, they made us read and do math, and it was boring. That's all I remember. It's not the same. It's not the same world anymore. Got to worry about that stuff, and that really sucks. What's up, Lucci? Happy freedom. All right, so what time is it? 2:10. We're gonna go over this article that is titled "Pentagon Officials Speculate Alien Mothership Could Send Mini Probes to Earth." Again, we covered this news when it first came out, but now we actually have the Pentagon draft that they had wrote out specifying what all they think is going on with this alien mothership that's in our galaxy or whatever. We don't talk a lot about space, so I don't know exactly how to phrase all this, but we're going to go over the article, and then I have the link to the actual draft itself, the Pentagon document discussing this mothership and what they're going to do about it or whatever. But give me a second here. I'm going to post the link in the chat so you guys can read along with me for the article. I'll get it pulled up and we'll go over it, so give me a second. Leon, I mean, it's been a while since I rapped, but yes and no. I have a bachelor's degree in music production and audio engineering. I pursued that because I was making my own rap music. I don't think I could make rap music now. I think I'd get canceled and stuff. And I'm not like Tom McDonald. I don't rap about, you know, and I know you guys like Tom McDonald, and that's fine. That's totally fine. He's very talented. But I don't make music crying about politics or skin color and stuff like that. I make like rage rap, like shock rap, like not ICP, you know, goofiness, but music that if you know the words to the lyrics and you really hate your life and you really hate going to work every day, if you sing these songs on the way to work, by the time you get there, you won't feel that way anymore. You will burn that energy out and you won't have that hate in your heart anymore. And that's why I made that music. Is because when I was young, I was so destructive and raged out because of what it was like when I was growing up. And so I made music instead of acting like the idiots we see on the screen right now. That's kind of how that went. But everybody's so soft now. YouTube's so soft, and that used to be the best way to get your music out was through YouTube, and now you gotta have shape-shifting predators in your music videos or you're getting canceled, and I'm not with that. I'm not with that at all. So I don't know, music's kind of on hold. I really want to make some more beats, but I need money for software. It's $500. My MacBook took a crap, and that's how I was making beats and stuff, and the software that's on it is Apple only, and so I don't have a way to make beats right now, and that really sucks. And that's why we've been listening to the same beats for the last 3 years, is because I can't afford to buy the software I need in order to make beats. It is what it is. Either way, I'll post a link. This link's going to take you to the article we're going to pull up here in a second so you guys can follow along with me. What's up, TYR? Happy freedom. I appreciate you, 6ix9ine. All right, hooligans. So the link that I just provided to you should bring you to this page right here, titled Pentagon Officials Speculate Alien Mothership Could Send Mini Probes to Earth. The article starts off by saying Pentagon officials released a draft document saying aliens might be visiting the solar system and releasing small probes to study planets like Earth. The draft research report is authored by Sean Somebody, the director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as the AARO, and Abraham Somebody, the chairman of Harvard's Astronomy Department. The article mentions a artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, the report said. You know how bad things have to be for them to say something like that? To just say it so nonchalantly, just like, hey, by the way. They should have old man Walter read this article. It would have made more sense. The article goes on to say that one of those individuals I mentioned in the Pentagon says it's possible alien aircraft have already visited our solar system, specifically Loeb. We'll go by Loeb. I don't know what his name is, but Loeb speculates the first alien sighting was in 2017 when the object now referred to as, oh my God, what is that word? Oumuamua. We're going to go with Oumuamua. So in 2017, Oumuamua was spotted. Now, I don't remember that. I was alive in 2017. I don't remember any huge announcement of alien sightings such as Oumuamua. So anyways, it goes on to say that Loeb speculated that Oumuamua could be an alien mothership which could deploy mini probes. The article then wraps up by mentioning, with proper design, these tiny probes which reach the Earth or our solar system planets for exploration as a parent craft passes by within a fraction of the Earth-Sun separation, just like Oumuamua did, write the authors. Astronomers could not be able to notice the spray of mini probes because they do not reflect enough sunlight for existing survey telescopes to notice them. Like, that's a real article. The Pentagon really said that stuff. There must be terrible things off in the horizon for them to say some stuff like that. A lot of people, I can't see the chat right now, but I guarantee there's probably at least 10 people saying Project Bluebeam right now. It is messed up that they're saying this. It is, I don't know. I don't know. Just, wow. Wow. Do people still got to go to work? That's what everybody always says. You still got to go to work? You still got to pay bills? Or are we going to be worrying about aliens? How's this going to go? I don't know. I don't know about all this stuff. We'll see. Maybe when people start getting abducted, they'll stop worrying about skin color and dumb stuff. Stop with all the shape-shifting predator nonsense and all that. Robert, propaganda to scare the masses. I'm waiting for old man Walter to start talking about aliens. We already know all those people are lizard people. They might as well just come out and say it. Oh my goodness. From aliens to old man Walter. Alright, so this will be the last thing we're going to view. Maybe. This may work out. This may work out. We're going to cover... This is from yesterday, because I forgot to cover it. I had intentions of doing that, and then it just slipped my mind. But this is Old Man Walter and Jill Handler host a Arts and Humanities Awards ceremony. This took place yesterday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Just forgot to cover it, which is weird, but that happened. After this is over, there's a good chance that we'll be just in time to catch KJP for the White House briefing before we switch over to the free speech platforms. We're going to have to start calling it non-YouTube platforms, because I think people get confused on what I'm talking about. If you go to the link tree, you can see all the platforms we go live on. When we have to go on to things that do not comply with YouTube community guidelines, we mean everything on the list except for YouTube will still be live. YouTube is like the child in the room. Not the viewers, but the platform itself is soft, innocent ears, and we got to help them out of the room so we can talk about actual things going on. But either way, we're going to cover this. It's about 40 minutes long. It'll be 3 o'clock by the time this is done, and that's when KJP is supposed to be stepping on stage. God only knows how it will go today. Oh, and you haven't seen the video. I edited that Simon Ateba video where he was screaming across the room and everybody got mad and they didn't like that he was standing up for himself. So be looking forward to that video later. I'll be dropping that. It's just a couple minutes long after I edited it. And I also saw, you know, we added a little bit in there about that giant lizard woman who was in there. She was a giant. Either way, let's get this started, hooligans.
Thank you. Please have a seat. And, you know, I'm starting off to say good evening. I think they thought we'd take longer in the other room. Good afternoon, evening, close. Vice President Harris, second gentleman, former President Celine Meyer. Welcome to the White House, a sacred place for many reasons. It's a residence.
Laughing at the former president or what?
People's house, and it really is. A place to work, a national park, a museum, as well as an art and artifacts capturing the soul of the nation for many years. And like this portrait of George Washington, painted by Gilbert Stuart, it's the only object still here since the White House was opened in 1800. That's the only object still here. And I want you to know an Irishman designed the White House. True story. Rescued by Dolly Madison after the British torched this very space. Life-size portrait of our founding father who, in the midst of the War of Independence, wrote a letter to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, which had recently made him a member. General Washington wrote, and I quote, "The arts and sciences are essential to the prosperity of the state and the ornament and happiness of human life." He knew the greatness of a nation was measured not only by the strength of its army and the vastness of its geography, the size of its economy, it was also measured by the vitality of its culture. And the culture forged in freedom of expression to speak and to think freely. Freedoms that must always be defended, for democracy is a covenant we have with each other. And I don't know how many times in graduate school and undergraduate school I learned that democracy has to be fought for every generation. We learned that this year. It has to be fought. Democracy is a choice. It's a choice we make to choose union over disunion, progress over chaos, and literally truth over lies. A choice to remember history, not erase it, no matter how hard it is that people try to sometimes erase it. And that's what great nations do. They face reality. We're a nation, a great nation, in large part because of the power of the arts and humanities. That's stamped into the DNA of America. And today, Jill and I, Kamala and Doug, and all of you, we continue the legacy of awarding two of our nation's highest honors to 23 extraordinary Americans. The National Medal of the Arts to honor outstanding contributions to the excellence, growth, support, and availability of arts in the United States, and the National Humanities Medal to honor those whose work has deepened the nation's understanding of the humanities and broadened our citizens' engagement with history, literature, philosophy, and so many other subjects. And by the way, I'm married to an English professor.
By the way.
Prostitute. And we know good writing and love of a great read, including the incredible writers here today. The work of our honorees is as diverse as the nation that celebrates with them today. But common threads weave them together in many ways, in the very fabric of America. The pursuit of excellence, the drive to create, the yearning to connect, and the boldness to be truth tellers, bridge builders, and change seekers. Above all, you're masters of your craft. You're masters of your craft. The National Medal of the Arts recipients include renowned painters like Judy Baca, and who have made the canvas out of our communities all across America, especially her beloved Los Angeles. Her groundbreaking murals depict the strength and scope of human nature and tell the forgotten stories. Tell the forgotten stories, bringing public space to life and tell a fuller story of who we are as Americans. A student, you know, and Antonio, you studied diplomacy. When I heard
Is that a pimp in the front row?
Secretary of State. But today, he's one of Puerto Rico's greatest cultural ambassadors. His work challenges and unites people across languages, classes, and generations. His creations span genres: painting, writing, sculpturing, theater design, always daring to try something new while building on what came before. And my friend, President Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I know where you are. She's over here going, I'm over here. No, I'm going to talk with Julie later whether she liked being VP or president better. I got to figure that one out. I have absolutely no talent at all.
We know.
And you won. I don't know how the hell that happened. 11 Enemies, 26 nominations, honored numerous times by the Screen Actors Guild, Producers Guild.
11 enemies. 11 enemas.
Absurdity with absolute wit and handles real-life turns with absolute grace. A mom, a cancer survivor, a pioneer for women in comedy, she is an American original. Good to see you. Following her example, including Mindy Kaling, you know, from Massachusetts, but as we all know, Scranton, Pennsylvania made her who she is. Or as we say in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The first woman of color to create, write, and star in a primetime sitcom, she empowers a new generation to tell their stories with their own irreverence and sincerity. The daughter of Indian immigrants, we know about that, right? Our vice president is the daughter of Indian immigrants, a mother who was a great scientist. Above all, she's hardworking and an adoring mom, just like her own mom was. And Mindy, we know your mom is always with you in your spirit. We know that. Over 50 years ago, Billie Holiday Theater opened in Brooklyn. Black writers and actors from Samuel L. Jackson to Debbie Allen to Smokey Robinson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
New York at this theater. Today, Billie still stages first-rate theater productions, nurturing a new generation of black playwrights, performers, as a culture of the cornerstone of our nation.
Sam, she's playing with your melon again. Yeah, I like to get my back rubbed while I take on this nonsense from old man Walter. She's doing my hair right now. You know, a little stimulation keeps the growth going.
Solidarity for this vital art form, it connects. Dances to teach, performances to venues, educators to resources. Driven by the mission of preserving dance from the African diaspora for future generations. When it comes to fashion, here's what I know. As I said today, when I said every time I open the closet, I see her, when I got introduced to Vera. And Jill turned to me and said, what are you saying that for? There's all those labels. Vera Wang, where's Vera? There you are. You knew what I meant to begin with, didn't you? I guess I could have said it a little better. When I open the closet, I see you all the time. But anyway. You're one of the great.
This old fool.
And I know your dresses always look beautiful on my wife. God love her. Your designs are timeless. Her vision, her influence in the industry, her business became an empire. The name is synonymous with artistry, excellence, Vera Wang. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Eichner, supporting the arts is a calling. For decades, he's been a top patron of dance companies, art museums, historic preservation, especially in his beloved Chicago. By the way, every time I sat here for 8 years as vice president, it always started Chicago. Chicago. He's also been a champion for the LGBTQ community at its core of our national values of freedom, justice, and justice for all. Because he never seeks a spotlight, few know how much he has enriched their lives. But now, the nation's going to know whether you like it or not. It's happening. The contribution of Joan Shigakawa. Thank you. I have trouble pronouncing it. You can call me Bidden.
It really ain't that funny.
Shigakawa.
You see 6 people laughing.
Art in America is legendary and is lasting. And the head of the National Endowment for the Arts, she's lifted rural and urban artists, created programs for military families, and helped measure how the art grows the economy. Arts grow the economy. And she proves that art makes our country stronger. He couldn't be with us today because he's touring, but we still honor a son of Puerto Rico in Spanish Harlem, Jose Feliciano, I can pronounce it. That's my generation. Jose came from a small family, one of 11 brothers. Blind since birth, he picked up a guitar at age 9. A pioneering artist, bridging cultures and styles, winning Grammys, opening doors for generations of Latino artists, and the heart of our nation. Last December, Gladys Knight, who I'm crazy about her music, I don't want to hurt her reputation, sat in this room to receive the Kennedy Center honor. Later that night, Jill and I and Kamal and Doug in a theater full of fans
all laid down in bed together.
For the Empress of Soul, the Empress of Soul. A few weeks later, we invited Gladys back to the White House to perform at a summit with leaders from 50 African nations, as I honored the African nations presidents and prime ministers. But what better way to show who we are as a nation than to give Gladys Knight an opportunity to sing for the nation. Gladys, as I said before, you're truly one of the best things ever to happen in terms of music. I'm a fan. And speaking of good things in music, the boss is here. The boss is here. As they say in South Philly,
some people booing.
Boy. I just want you to know, Bruce, there was a lawsuit that was between the governor of Delaware and the governor of New Jersey, and it's now a matter of law. We own Delaware, owns the Delaware up to the high water mark in New Jersey. So for all I know, I could claim you as part of Delaware before that. Bruce Springsteen, a poet, troubadour, a chronicle of American life and resilience and hope and dreams, recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, along with 20 Grammys, an Oscar, a Tony, and an unyielding love from millions of fans across generations. The New Jersey Kid is back on tour, approaching, catch this, 3,000 concerts around the world. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Since his first performance as a teenager at local Elks Lodge, and I know where it is, Freehold, New Jersey, just across the river. I've been to Freehold, and I married a Jersey girl. Okay? Bruce,
she's also a freehold.
People are just born to run, man. Last fall, during the White House event called A Night When Hope and History Rhyme, I awarded the National Humanities Medal to Sir Elton John on the occasion of his final tour in Washington. Today, we add to that distinguished list of him receiving this award as well. The daughter of Chinese immigrants, Amy Tan's books capture the courage, the pain, and the joy of the immigrant experience, and how their legacy and memory fulfill the promise of America for all Americans. Colson Whitehead, one of the first and only novelists to win the Pulitzer Prize for back-to-back works. How in the hell did you do that? Pretty good, man. I'm kind of looking for back-to-back myself. But,
Look at the guy standing in the background. He's looking around like, what are you guys cheering and clapping for?
With the Nickel Boys. Incredible, man. That's pretty damn impressive. And from coming of age to crime to science fiction to even zombies, he's one of America's great storytellers. bringing fresh perspective to the legacy of the original sin of slavery, elevating the nation's consciousness around truth and justice. You know, to understand the giants of history, we need sometimes to write about them. That's Walter Isaacson. Walter, you're the best, pal. Walter's biographies on Ben Franklin, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, and more make real some of the most complex minds in our nation's history. By better understanding figures like these, we better understand ourselves and our nation and the notion of possibilities. Anything is possible here. Anything is possible in America. An engineer, poet,
Where do they get the people that sit in the seats?
Return to
Like, who are all the people sitting in the room? Because they do one of these ceremonies like every other day. So who is all the individuals in the room?
Always one moon.
Actors?
Silent drum.
People paid to sit there and clap and whistle and cheer?
And every window on every of every country. Let me start this over again. I'm getting so intimidated by it being here. And always one moon, like a silent drum, tapping on every rooftop and every window of one county. All of us.
He has no idea.
Hope, a new constellation, waiting for us to map it, waiting for us to name it together. You know, that's what hope is. I was once asked by Xi Jinping to define America, for real. We were in the Tibetan Plateau. I said, possibilities, hope. That's the definition of America. And you write about it. It's poetry bridges cultures and language, a mosaic of our past, our present, and our future. Reflecting a nation that's hectic, colorful, and still becoming. Few books captivated the nation like Tara Westover's memoir, Educated. Her words remind us how national divides can also divide families, and how bringing those divides with knowledge and understanding is critical to our country and for one another. Ann Patchett's celebrated novels and essays are treasured worldwide through everything she does, on the page and at her Nashville bookstore, a magnet for readers all around the world. She proves the power of the written word to bring people together, and you've done it, Ann. Where's Ann? There you go. You've done it, kiddo. Every day, from a studio in New Mexico, Native American Calling airs a podcast, live radio show exploring everything from the legacy of Native newspapers to Native cuisine to Native American solidarity with Ukraine, capturing the vastness of the Native American life and its profound impact on the country. You know, Henrietta Mann, as a teacher, a scholar, and a leader, she's dedicated her career to Native American education and to establishing the field of Native American studies. Thanks in large part to her, Native American Studio is now taught at universities across the country, strengthening our nation-to-nation bonds for generations to come. A scholar, Earl Lewis chronicles African American history and explores how diversity strengthens our nation, and it does strengthen our nation. As a university administrator, he has shaped some of our preeminent institutions, pushing them to meet the challenges of our time, from water scarcity to the future of work to racial injustice. He makes American universities an even more important source of our national dynamism. And as an anthropologist, the first black woman president of Spelman College, pretty cool.
He just crapped his pants. He don't even know what's going on.
You know, Janetta Cole takes the study of black history and culture to new heights.
Lying makes
She
you
strengthened
weak.
American education, advanced American scholarship, and enriched the lives of students of all ages in the future of our nation. Brian Stevenson, a cherished son of my home state of Delaware, and one of the most important civil rights leaders. You know, exonerating the wrongfully convicted, funding the Legacy Museum.
Looks like an old folks' home in there.
Peace and justice. So the history of lynching and racial violence in America gets the reckoning it deserves, and providing a compelling foundation for me to be able to sign into law the Emmett Till's name to make lynching a federal crime. Brian. Brian does what all historians do. He challenges us to get proximity to the suffering and abandoned and the poor and the condemned, so that as we search for the humanity in others, we find it within ourselves first. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate our newest recipients of the National Medal of the Arts and the National Medal of the Arts.
We just give out awards for anything and everything. Like, these people already win Emmys and Grammys and stuff. Now they're getting awards from the White House. The White House is such a joke anymore. Might as well just have its own TV channel like VH1 and stuff.
You and your families, congratulations. Thank you for cultivating the arts as a central source. Please have a seat. A source of our prosperity, our happiness in American life, as George Washington describes. Thank you for strengthening the covenant that is our democracy. And now, please come up one by one as my military aide, Major Hughes, reads your citation. And by the way, I want to warn you.
By the way.
There are two types. The medals are beautiful. The ribbons are hung on. One doesn't separate. So any woman who I'm giving the one medal to, just don't get angry with me if I mess up your hair. Okay? You think I'm kidding? I'm not. All right.
Judith Francisca Baca.
Military guy has to tell him what to do because he doesn't know what to do as person in charge.
Judith Francisca Baca's collaborative work has turned forgotten histories into public memory, pioneering an art form that empowers communities to reclaim public space with dignity and pride.
They're both just standing there with their mouth open facing each other. Gross. Built like the green M&M.
Accepting on behalf of the Billie Holiday Theater, Blondel Pinnock. For being an artistic jewel for the nation, channeling its namesake's exploration of freedom and identity, the Billie Holiday Theater cultivates some of our nation's most renowned Black actors, writers, designers, and musicians, and has expanded the reach of American artistic expression and achievement.
They should have rehearsed this stuff. They don't even know what they're doing. I was the first one given the award over their head, and the second one just gets it in a box. Does it not have a box of its own?
Fred Eichner.
These guys look the same age, except one can move and function, the other one can't.
A more just nation. From dance and architecture to arts education and a lifetime of LGBTQI+ advocacy, Fred Eichner has helped give millions of people strength to be themselves and moved our country forward.
They're gonna scissor later.
Accepting on behalf of the International Association of Blacks in Dance, Denise Saunders Thompson. For expanding our nation's appreciation for the practice and preservation of dance from the African diaspora. Through teaching, training, performance, the International Association of Blacks in Dance promotes dance by people of African ancestry and origin, explores and exchanges art, spans cultures and generations, and enriches the dance culture of America.
Can you imagine what Old Man Walter is going to look like in 4 years? It's just gonna be a skeleton with flesh wrapped around it. I don't understand. Some of them are given the award in a box. I don't understand that. Oh, the pimp just took his hat off. He must be getting an award pretty soon.
For giving voice to a new generation of storytellers, imbued with humor and heart, Mindy Kaling's work across television, film, and books inspires and delights, capturing and uplifting the experiences of women and girls across our nation.
Look at the military guy's face. He's had to witness some things.
Gladys Knight. For her iconic voice as the Empress of Soul, Gladys Knight's exceptional talent influenced musical genres, from rhythm and blues to gospel to pop.
Edward, he's not an equal opportunity sniffer. Yeah, that's true. It's true. He's biased.
Music.
Hardcore biased. You gotta still be in the diaper. It's like two elderly people in a dance battle.
Amen.
That was one of the pits.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. For her humor and wit that has helped to redefine American culture. As one of the most decorated comedic actors of our time, Julia Louis-Dreyfus has blazed a trail for women in comedy and across American life through her commitment to excellence and the power of her example.
Yeah, Robert, I got it pulled up. Is that the woman from Superstar? That's the only movie I've ever seen her in, and that wasn't that great. Yeah, the White House Press Briefing with KJP is about to start. As soon as she steps on stage, we're just going to abruptly cut away from this nonsense. We're just watching this just to fill the time gap. Otherwise, I was going to have to move over to the free speech platforms, and then everybody on YouTube would not be able to witness the White House Press Briefing.
As an artistic communicator, convener, and voice of conscience, transcending generation and genre, Antonio Martorell Cardona's art exposes hard truths with whimsy and color to help us remember and grow as people and as a nation.
He's saying pimping ain't easy. Yeah, I know, it's Seinfeld.
Joan Shigekawa.
They had that woman read the name because old man Walter kept messing it up.
For a lifetime of service to art in America, throughout her career, Joan Shigekawa has championed artists, created global exchanges, and promoted the power of the arts to heal, build strong economies, and help people and nations reach their full potential.
This is how they get into the private party. They're going to bring a school bus in, and then all of a sudden they'll have locked doors. The only way to get past the locked doors, you'll have to have one of these medals. That's how these rich old ghouls get down. They're going to do the same thing with NFTs once that starts becoming more mainstream. They'll put out NFTs that are $1 million each, so only the very wealthy can get one. And then in order to get to these private parties on the island, they'll have to have one of these NFTs. Or sometimes they do private parties on yachts in the middle of the ocean, where they do terrible things. Rich old bad people. The evil is real. Is that the guy from Spider-Man?
For his extraordinary contributions to the American Songbook and for being the boss. One of our greatest performers and storytellers, Bruce Springsteen's music celebrates our triumphs, heals our wounds, and gives us hope, capturing the unyielding spirit of what it means to be American.
Oh man, Walter just dead behind the eyes.
Vera Wang. For her pioneering vision, which has reshaped
Why was she holding on to him like that? About knocked him over.
to red carpets to retail stores, Vera Wang's modern designs and bridal collections express individualism and elegance, making beauty and style accessible to all.
That is a very strange looking individual. Like a phantom, looking like a demon. Something's weird about that person. You see the medal was sitting inside her pants?
National Humanities Medal
Gross.
recipients. Richard Blanco.
Richard White.
For breathing life into the identity and idea of America, an award-winning poet and author, professor and public speaker, and son of Cuban immigrants, Richard Blanco's powerful storytelling challenges
China sent him that suit.
gender, and class, while celebrating the promise of our nation's highest ideals.
And then he gets a red medal. Interesting.
Jonetta Besh Cole.
Half these people can't even walk to the stage on their own.
For being a celebrated leader of sanctuaries of higher learning and culture, a scholar, anthropologist, and academic pacesetter, Jonetta Besh Cole's pioneering work about the ongoing contributions of Afro-Latin, Caribbean, and African communities have advanced American understanding of Black culture and the necessity and power of racial inclusion in our nation.
So this is what happened to Wesley Snipes. I was wondering. Demolition Man was awesome.
Walter Isaacson. For chronicling the history and genius of America. Through the stories of our nation's remarkable citizens, Walter Isaacson's work, words, and wisdom bridge divides between science and the humanities and between opposing philosophies, elevating discourse and our understanding of who we are as a nation.
They should have brought CNN up there too. Just gave them all awards. Talking that nonsense of trying to boost old man Walter up.
Earl Lewis. For writing America's history and shaping America's future, as a social historian and academic leader, Earl Lewis has made vital contributions to the field of Black history, educating generations of students, while also being a leading voice for greater diversity in academia and our nation.
Leon, yeah. The military dude, he looks real thrilled to be there. He's just got that 1,000-mile stare, like he's in shell shock. The smell is probably overwhelming in that room.
Henrietta Mann.
Jeez, they might as well just carry her up on stage.
For dedicating her life to strengthening and developing Native American education, the pioneering efforts of Henrietta Ho'oestada Ona A. Mann led to programs and institutions across the country devoted to the study of Native American history and culture, honoring ancestors that came before and benefiting generations that follow.
Run, the woke awards. Yeah, really. Beyond the stench of death. Yeah, it's probably like being in Walmart in there right now. You can smell death is right around the corner. I thought she was gonna kiss him on the neck. I was like, yo, gonna have to cut to the black screen here. Can't show that graphic content.
Accepting on behalf of Native America Calling, Jacqueline Salee. For connecting tribal and non-tribal communities across the United States. Through its interactive shows on the radio and online, Native America Calling educates the American public about Indigenous issues while preserving Indigenous history and culture to honor their contributions that strengthen the sacred nation-to-nation relationship.
The look on her face screamed out that was not a pleasant encounter. Ooh, look at this skinwalker.
For putting into words the beauty, pain, and complexity of human nature. With her best-selling novels and essays, and her bookstore readers from around the world will
You can sell an essay?
pages of Ann Patch's books that take people to places of the heart and feed the imagination of our nation. Brian Stevenson. For his moral call to redeem the soul of our nation an advocate fighting tirelessly.
A lot of people out here for the soul of the nation.
And condemned, Brian Stevenson follows the book of Micah's instructions to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly as he chronicles the legacy of lynching and racism in America, shining a light on what has been and all that we can be as a nation.
Super weird. I'm keeping an eye on the press briefing. It hasn't kicked over yet. As soon as it does, we're just running away from this as fast as possible. This person protests on the weekends.
For expanding the American literary canon by bravely exploring experiences of immigrant families, heritage, memories, and poignant struggles, Amy Tan's writing makes sense of the present through the past and adds groundbreaking narrative to the diverse sweep of American life and literature. Tara Westover.
Tara's leftovers.
For tuning American life into literature, Tara Westover's memoirs of family, religion, and the transformative power of education has moved millions of readers and served as a powerful example of how the humanities can set people free and a nation free.
She must have put in a lot of work to get there. There's a huge difference between her and all the other people who received awards. I don't know. It's kind of a vague description as well. I don't know. Maybe her jaw's tired, not sure.
Colson Whitehead.
I was wondering where Lenny Kravitz has been.
For his truth-seeking as an American literary icon, with genre-defying craftsmanship and creativity.
What's up, Shadow? Happy freedom.
Whitehead's celebrated novels make real the African-American journey through our nation's continued reckoning with the original sin of slavery and our ongoing march toward a more perfect union.
He ended slavery? Is that what they're saying? I don't understand. You get an award, and you get an award. Oh, old man Walter just assaulted him. Lost. Now what?
Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today. It was just such an honor to meet so many incredible people. Really and truly, you're amazing, and you do make the country better. You make it a better place.
Ruben. I'm guessing a white guy hasn't gotten a medal. Well, you saw he was the one handing out the medals. That's his job.
The other end of the hall, in the dining room down there. I hope we'll see you down there. And as every time I'd walk out of my grandpa's home up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Ambrose Finnegan, he'd say, "Joey, keep the faith." And my grandmother knows, spread it. Let's spread the faith. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, please remain in your seats as the principals and recipients depart. Thank you.
Remain in your seats. Everyone stands up. Okay, KJP is still not on stage. Well, that was something. That was something. I like how the announcer came in and just blew the microphone out. We'll give KJP a couple minutes to get on stage. She's already 4 minutes late. If she waits too long, we're going to have to cut off to the free speech platforms, to the non-YouTube live streaming platforms on the Linktree list. Because we have other stuff to cover other than waiting on her, and I got to get my taxes done today. I cannot be screwing around any longer. Got a bunch of important things coming up, and I just cannot keep putting everything off. Well, we have 2 videos to cover on the free speech platforms. One is about the NYPD and a gang takedown. The other one is preparations for the Orange Eagle potentially being arrested. Can't show that stuff because things mentioned and things shown are against the YouTube community guidelines. So we're going to give her a few minutes here to get on stage, but if she takes too long, we're going to be wrapping things up for YouTube so we can move forward. And yeah, bathroom break, exactly. Born, yeah, the mold stuff. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I didn't cover it because, like, when you cover the stuff going on in Ohio, like, people don't even talk about Ohio. They don't even talk about it. It's like that stuff didn't even happen. So when you talk about that, you get a flag on your video because the platform thinks you're talking about the plague, even though you're not. So I didn't cover the mold scare because I don't know what it is. The company that decides when to be afraid and when not to be afraid of the plague, they tell us what to do and the recommendations, and you know who I'm talking about. So those people are now telling everyone that they need to be scared of some mold that's out here, that's taking over and whatever. It's making people not feel well, stuff like that. The word gymnastics, I deserve a medal myself. Either way, that's the next thing to be scared of. So we'll see how far they take it. It could be Plague 2.0, it could be nothing. We'll see how it goes though. Yeah, we're going to be posting links when it's time to move over to the free speech platforms. We'll be posting links for Rumble, Odyssey, JeffMacLive.com, as well as the Linktree. That way you can just hop around between all the platforms and see which one fits you best. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to give her a couple minutes. She's got a few minutes. Yeah, it's funny they don't talk about monkeypox anymore. That was like a big scary thing, and then now that's gone. I kind of think that the whole Orange Eagle thing is like a psyop at this point, because like when I look for things to cover today and yesterday, that's all you hear about. You just hear about the Orange Eagle. You don't hear about anything else. So I don't know, what are they covering up between the Mothership deploying alien drones to come monitor us and all the other planets in our atmosphere, not our atmosphere, our galaxy? It's just Orange Eagle and aliens. That's kind of all that's going on. They don't talk about balloons anymore. There's no more balloons in the sky. So that's interesting. High Plains Drifter out here handing out medals. Appreciate you, High Plains Drifter. You're awesome. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what they put out next to try and scare everybody. I don't even think people could be scared at this point. Only softies could be scared. Everybody else, they're just ready to kick the bucket. I don't know. I know that's how I feel. It's like there's not even anything to look forward to at this point. Everything is just trash. It's just trash. Going to school is trash. Going to work and dealing with policies is trash. Going into restaurants is trash. Going into businesses that are big corporations is trash. Amusement parks and all that stuff is ran by sick individuals. Everything that comes out on TV and movies is all a political agenda. You can't afford anything. Everything costs too much and everybody gets paid too little, and then the more they keep trying to raise minimum wage, the more expensive everything's going to get because of inflation. Like, what is there to look forward to? There's nothing. And that's why I think that people are going to start losing their marbles. If they were to do something to take the Orange Eagle off the table of possibilities, I think people would freak out. I feel like that's the only hope there is at this point. And I don't even think really there's that much hope to be hopeful for, because no one's coming to save us. Nobody's going to save us. There's a lot of nice things being said, but even when the Orange Eagle was around, a lot of stuff didn't go the way we would want because of confliction between everybody involved that causes change in our country. So we'd always hear things that were nice, but we didn't see everything we hoped for to be changed. Things were absolutely better than they are now, but there's nothing saying that things will ever be that way again. Things could always get worse. You know, that's like they say, things could always get worse. You don't never hear, oh, things could always get better. I don't know. It's really hard to be hopeful anymore. And I don't really know what to say. I really don't know what to say about that. And I think that's why there's a rise in people doing drugs and people doing alcohol and people just doing their best to not exist in the real world anymore, because there just really isn't anything to look forward to. Born annoying, moving over to Rumble, she ain't showing up. Lucky. Lucky, because you're going to be the inspiration to move over. I was about to say, yep, you're right. Let's move over to the free speech platform. She's lucky. She's lucky. I wonder where all these people were, since they're just now getting in here. I wonder if Simon's there. I'm going to release that video that I edited last night with Simon screaming across the press briefing room at KJP multiple times. That'll be coming out later for everybody that missed it live. I'm going to try and cut out sections of the live. That way people can see what we do without having to watch a 3-hour live and stuff like that. Oh, Peter's there. We'll see if he gets called on today. Kind of feel like his question's been a little bit soft lately, but I don't know. Being a dad changes you. All these people are soft. Like when Simon was yelling across the room, they were all screaming at him. Like, don't you stand up for yourself? You're being mean. You're being rude because you're being discriminated against and you don't like it. You just sit there and take that. We don't want to hear you stand up for yourself. Bunch of softies. We need to make punch people in the face great again. That's my slogan. When I run for president next year, that's the slogan. Look at her. How come you didn't get an award?
Hi, good afternoon,
KJP? Out here doing the electric slide.
Before I turn it over to my NSC colleague here, I want to say one thing at the top. We have grave concerns with the passage of the Anti-Homosexuality Act, AHA, by the Parliament of Uganda yesterday, and increasing violence targeting LGBTQI+ persons.
In Uganda? Where, like, what does that have to do with America?
It would impinge upon universal human rights, jeopardize progress in the fight against HIV/AIDS, deter tourism, and invest in Uganda and damage Uganda's international reputation. The bill is one of the most extreme anti-LGBTQI+ laws in the world.
What's a punk man? Happy
Human
freedom.
rights are universal. No one should be attacked, imprisoned, or killed simply because of who they are or whom they love. And with that, my colleague John Kirby is here to offer a preview of the president's upcoming trip to Canada. As you know, the president will be heading to Canada tomorrow and answering any lingering questions about President Putin and President Xi's meeting this week in Moscow. Admiral?
I'm sure there's no lingering questions about that. So as Karine said, I just want to give you all a little bit of a preview here of the president's trip up to Ottawa. He does leave tomorrow afternoon. It's quite a packed schedule.
It's weird they keep putting Kirby on every day. It's not usually every press briefing has Kirby.
They arrive, they'll be greeted by the Governor General of Canada, Mary Simon, later tomorrow evening. The President and the First Lady will join Prime Minister Trudeau and Mrs. Trudeau for an intimate gathering at their residence. And on Friday, the President will participate in a bilateral meeting, of course, with Prime Minister Trudeau and his team, during which he will absolutely reaffirm the United States' enduring commitment to this U.S.-Canada partnership. The President will then follow in the tradition of previous presidents who visit Canada and address Canada's Parliament. In his remarks, the President will underscore how the U.S.-Canada partnership benefits not only our two countries, but the entire world, and that by working together, we can address some of the biggest challenges we face. President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau will then participate in a press conference. Later, tomorrow or Friday evening, the President and First Lady will attend a gala dinner at the Canadian Aviation and Space Museum. Now, in addition to joining the President for those events, the First Lady will continue to build on her friendship with Mrs. Sophie Trudeau and participate in a spousal program that's focused on our shared cultural connections and, of course, empowering young people. This is a meaningful visit. Canada is one of the United States' closest allies and friends and has been now for more than 150 years. This will be the first true in-person bilateral meeting between the two leaders in Canada since 2009. In the first year of this administration, we focused on rebuilding that bilateral relationship. In the second year, we focused on following through on our commitments, including prioritizing orderly and safe migration through regular pathways and enhancing collaboration to address the synthetic opioid crisis. And now, heading into the third, this visit is about taking stock of what we've done, where we are, and what we need to prioritize for the future. We're going to talk about our two democracies stepping up to meet the challenges of our time. That includes taking concrete steps to increase defense spending, driving a global race to the top on clean energy, and building prosperous and inclusive economies. That's continuing to take bold action. That's also continuing to take bold action to combat climate change, promote inclusive economic growth and good jobs, strengthen our democracies, supporting efforts for stability in Haiti, and continuing, of course, to support Ukraine. President Biden will also promote our shared domestic and foreign policy goals, including by highlighting the mutual benefits of the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement for promoting prosperity and clean energy. And, of course, the first call President Biden made to a foreign leader as President of the United States was to Prime Minister Trudeau, highlighting the strategic importance of this incredible relationship. Since then, the two leaders have spoken multiple times and also met in person a number of times, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with Canada to strengthen economic ties, to promote inclusive growth, to address, as I said, climate change, enhance North America's competitiveness, and strengthen our defense through both NATO and through NORAD. And with that, we'll take some questions.
Hey, John. So I wanted to ask you about the Russian foreign minister's comments today about Britain's plans to supply Ukraine with depleted uranium ammunition, and Lavrov had said that's a step towards significant escalation. Does the Biden administration have any concern about the Brits sharing such ammo?
Well, certainly we would let the UK speak for itself in terms of what sovereign decisions they're going to make about providing ammunition. But I mean, make no mistake. I mean, this is yet another straw man through which the Russians are driving a stake. This kind of ammunition is fairly commonplace, been in use for decades. I think what's really going on here is Russia just doesn't want Ukraine to continue to take out its tanks and render them inoperative. And if that's really the concern, if the Russians are very concerned about their tanks staying fully operational, they can just take them across the border back into Russia and take them out of Ukraine. They don't belong there in the first place. That would be my recommendation if they're concerned about threats to their tanks.
And now that the meeting is behind us, is there any change in the U.S. assessment on China's weighing of sending weaponry to Moscow?
No change. No change.
Thank you so much. On the topic of Ukraine, what will President Biden's message be to the Prime Minister about sustaining support for Ukraine? And are there any concerns, given the debate that we are seeing here in Congress, that support will start to wane on the world stage?
You know, I don't think the president believes Prime Minister Trudeau needs to have a message delivered on supporting Ukraine. I mean, the Canadians have been right there with us since the very beginning. And part of this Ukraine contact group, they have given millions of dollars in security assistance as well as humanitarian and even financial assistance, Kristen. So they have stepped up in a big way.
What's up, Carolyn? Happy freedom. Thanks so much, Sky Queen, for that $20 donation on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support.
Again, we are very grateful for the bicameral and the bipartisan support that we're getting on Capitol Hill, and you can see that continue even with the House of Representatives now in Republican hands.
I feel safer on this side of the screen where you can't smack me around with his hot dog fingers.
Ukraine, we're grateful for that, and we fully expect that will continue.
If I could follow up with you on the news yesterday that the U.S. is accelerating the timeline for sending Abrams tanks to Ukraine. Can you talk about that decision, and also, are there any renewed discussions about potentially sending Ukraine the F-16 fighter jets that they've been asking?
No change to our policy on fighter jets at this time. Nothing to speak to. I think the Pentagon laid out in more detail yesterday the decision-making on the Abrams tanks. We have said from the very beginning, heck, we've been saying this since the war began, we know there's a sense of urgency we all share. Time is no one's friend here in this war. And that's why, really, throughout this long process, we have, at unprecedented speed, been able to provide capabilities to the Ukrainian armed forces. And that includes with small systems like Stingers and artillery ammunition to big systems. Now, the bigger systems, they take a little bit more time, and you got to make sure there's a supply chain in place. You got to make sure that the Ukrainian troops are trained. So it does take a little bit more time. As they worked through the Abrams decision, which was through a different mechanism than drawdown authority, the Pentagon was able to find a workaround to get a version of the Abrams tanks there a little bit sooner.
Very quickly on TikTok, how closely will the president, how closely will this administration be watching the CEO testify tomorrow on TikTok, and what are the concerns heading?
Well, we note that he's going to Capitol Hill. Certainly, we'll be monitoring the testimony. But as you know, there's a CFIUS review going on. We're not going to get ahead of that. And as you also know, we've made very clear our national security concerns about that particular application. That's why it's been banned on government devices.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Karine. Thank you, John. I have two questions. First one, besides the joint statement on Ukraine yesterday, China and Russia also signed a separate 8-point joint statement on economic cooperation before 2030. In that statement, China promised to work with Russia on financial market, loan and payment, and supply chain, all the areas we see Russia as being sanctioned. What is U.S.'s take on this development?
We don't support any effort to decrease the sense of isolation that Putin has already experienced from the international community. We don't support any effort to bolster his economy or make it any more healthy. We don't support any effort by anybody to make it easier for him, financially or otherwise, to continue to slaughter Ukrainians.
Second question. I'm sorry, I have two questions. So Japanese Prime Minister Kishida took a trip to Ukraine and Poland, and as the only Indo-Pacific country in the G7, in the joint statement of him and President Zelensky, a free and open Indo-Pacific, peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait were all mentioned. Zelensky will also attend G7. So analysts have been talking about, what Russia had been doing to Ukraine, compare that to China could do to Taiwan. Is this a way to bring attention from the European allies to the Indo-Pacific and Taiwan issues?
We are grateful for Prime Minister Kishida's visit. I think it shows the degree to which Japan really has stepped up, not just in the region, but elsewhere around the world. They have helped our efforts to support Ukraine, and of course we're grateful for that, and it does show how much more engaged Japan is globally and really taking a leadership position. It's noteworthy that the Prime Minister of Japan goes to Kyiv in the middle of a war, a city which, oh, by the way, got attacked just last night, very much on the front lines of this war, and that President Xi has yet to have a conversation with President Zelensky, which we urge him to do.
That's about.
Thank you. Hello, Admiral.
Yeah.
Hi. Two questions. First one, following up on Karine's statement about Uganda and what the Secretary of State has already said, is anything like sanctions or some other concrete measure being considered by the U.S. side if this law should take effect?
Yeah, well, first of all, big if there, right? This is the Parliament passing it. It still has some process to go here. We're certainly watching this real closely, and we would have to take a look at whether or not there might be repercussions that we would have to take, perhaps in an economic way, should this law actually get passed and enacted. And that would be really unfortunate because so much of the economic assistance that we provide Uganda is health assistance, and largely through PEPFAR. You can see a world in which, a law like this, should it be enacted, would not only, as Karine rightly said, just be devastating to a whole community of people inside Uganda, but if it were to have any kind of an effect on our economic assistance, that would only make that worse. So we'll have to take a look. No decisions. We're watching this very, very closely, and hopefully it won't pass and we won't have to do anything.
Okay. And sorry, I had a second one. Back on the depleted uranium issue. Has the U.S. sent any depleted uranium ammunition to the Ukrainians? Would it do so? And secondly, what do you make of the Russian and Belarusian kind of veiled threats about using some sort of, going nuclear themselves? I mean, that's kind of what they're saying. They're saying if you use a little bit of nuclear, we could go nuclear. They've been saying that. Lukashenko said.
You mean in reference to the depleted uranium?
Yeah. Has the U.S. sent any of this stuff itself?
So look, we don't typically talk about the specifics of ammunition that we're providing, but we're not providing depleted uranium. But I think it's important to remember what this is. This is. There have been health studies done on depleted uranium munitions. It is not a radioactive threat. It is not anywhere close to going into the nuclear realm. That's why I described it earlier as a stake through a straw man. This is a commonplace type of munition that is used particularly for its armor-piercing capabilities. So again, if Russia's deeply concerned about the welfare of their tanks and their tank soldiers, the safest thing for them to do is to move them across the border and get them out of Ukraine.
Thanks. On two topics for you. First of all, on President Zelensky's visit to eastern Ukraine near the front near Bakhmut, what does the fact that he was able to travel there say about the strength of the Ukrainian positions there? And then secondly, a lot has been made about the relative significance of Bakhmut. What does his visit say about the importance of that city for the Ukrainian forces?
So interesting split screen, wasn't it, Jeremy? You have the president of Ukraine going to literally to a town that's been under assault now for weeks, where thousands of Ukrainian soldiers have fought, and many have died, as well as tens of thousands, we estimate, Russian convicts. I mean, it's where the most vicious fighting is going on. And he goes there. The other day, Mr. Putin decides to go to Mariupol, which is about as far away inside Ukraine from any fighting as you can get, to inspect the reconstruction after the damage his army did to Mariupol. President Zelensky has made very clear that he wants his forces to keep fighting over and for Bakhmut, and they haven't given it up. The Russians have made some incremental gains in the last few days, but only incremental. I mean, we're talking block by block kind of stuff. And the Ukrainians are still fighting very bravely to try to prevent Bakhmut from falling. I'll let President Zelensky describe his strategy and what he wants to prioritize and how he wants his troops to fight and where. But noteworthy, yet another example of his incredible leadership under fire as a commander-in-chief in war, going right to where it is. That is where the heaviest fighting is right now in the whole country, let alone the Donbass region.
And then on Israel, the State Department yesterday summoned the Israeli ambassador over the repeal of this 2005 law regarding the northern West Bank. The U.S. has been critical of these judicial reform efforts. Yesterday, you criticized comments made by Israel's finance minister. I'm wondering, what is the current state of U.S.-Israel relations, and how concerned is the United States that this current Israeli government is moving in a more authoritarian direction, and also potentially putting up more impediments towards a potential two-state solution?
Israel remains a strong ally and a deep, deep friend in the region, I'd say even around the world. And the president, in his discussion with Prime Minister Netanyahu the other day over the weekend, made clear that our support for Israel's security will remain ironclad. Nothing's going to change about that. And he has, through his entire public life, been one of Israel's strongest supporters and friends, and that will not change. Now, he has also said, and he's communicated it publicly, and of course he's communicated it privately, our concerns over these proposals, these proposed judicial reforms. And he has said, and he said it again over the weekend, that we urge Israeli leaders to seek a compromise as soon as possible. And that's where we are.
In the back there.
Hi, John. Getting back to the Canadian visit, is one of the issues being discussed a safe third-party agreement? A loophole in it is what's causing many migrants to land from the United States into Canada. Is there any discussion about modernizing it or scrapping it?
I don't want to get too far ahead of the agenda. I think we'll have more to say once we get up to Ottawa, and of course the president will have a chance to talk to y'all when the meeting's over. But as I said in my opening statement,
of course he won't.
We'll be talking about issues of
man, Walter doesn't answer questions.
There are more people on the move in this hemisphere than there have been since World War II, and that affects both our countries.
And secondly, in the preview, you talked about climate change and so forth, but there was no talk about energy. Is there a push or a discussion to import oil or energy exports into the U.S. from Canada?
Again, I'm not going to get too far ahead of specifics. I think energy security clearly will be on the agenda, as well as clean energy jobs that will be brought to the hemisphere from the Inflation Reduction Act, as well as, the Canadians have an emissions control plan that they've put into place that will also help, again, drive clean energy innovation here in the hemisphere, certainly between our two countries. And that's pretty exciting stuff. We're looking forward to that.
Just wanted to talk and follow up on that, John. The specific concern of the Canadians is this 2004 treaty. I imagine the president's position is that he doesn't want to see a change in that treaty. But can you speak generally about the United States' position when it comes to the concerns the Canadians do have about migrants heading from this country north? And secondly, if you could lay out some of the asks you'll make of the Canadians when it comes to NORAD modernization.
So on the first question, we've had many opportunities to talk to our Canadian counterparts about migration concerns, and it's not at all something that Prime Minister Trudeau and President Biden haven't spoken about. In fact, we were down in Mexico City not long ago for the North American Leaders Summit, and that was a prime topic of discussion. You guys all followed up on that. So I suspect that they'll continue to talk about this tomorrow and Friday. I have no doubt in my mind. I'm not going to get ahead of any decisions that might be in the offing or how this might transpire. But issues of migration, we are well aware of Canadian concerns. We have concerns of our own. I mean, it's a shared hemispheric, a shared regional challenge. So I have no doubt that they'll discuss it. On NORAD modernization, I think the issue of the Chinese spy balloon was a good reminder for all of us that we need to continue to make sure that when it comes to our defensive capabilities, particularly our air defensive capabilities, that we are at the cutting edge all the time. And so modernization of air defense capabilities, and certainly in NORAD specifically, is something that we never take for granted. We're always looking to improve that. You can see a lot of that embedded in the Defense Department's budget, which has been submitted. In fact, I think they'll be testifying this week on that. And I have no doubt that they'll discuss that as well.
Good. Thanks, Karine. Just a quick question on House Republicans asking the administration to share their review on the Afghanistan withdrawal with Congress and even the public. Is the administration considering that?
So I think that we've been engaged in an effort to review the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, to assess the lessons learned. We expect to be able to share those takeaways with the public by mid-April, and of course we also have every expectation that the agencies themselves who conducted these after-action reviews will be able to share the classified reports with their relevant congressional oversight committees, again on the same basic timeline of mid-April.
And one quick one, your comment on the fresh set of missile strikes that we've now seen from Russia. This comes right as she left Russia.
Yeah, pretty ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, and so your thoughts on whether you think that visit has now definitively emboldened Putin?
Mr. Putin hasn't really taken the foot off the gas since he invaded a year ago. He just continues to find new, brutal, violent ways to kill Ukrainians and to try to destroy Ukrainian cities, basically wipe Ukraine off the map as an independent sovereign nation. So it'd be hard for me to say that this visit emboldened him, but I find it pretty dang ironic. I mean, yesterday I was up here reading quotes that these two leaders put out about sovereignty and UN Charter and peaceful solutions and cessation of hostilities. And then the very
another nonsense.
Vladimir Putin's launching drones and cruise missiles into Zaporizhia and to Kyiv, and as I noted, you know, killing innocent civilians even just last night. Two of them were kids. So it's hard to say whether he's more emboldened or not, but he certainly hasn't changed tack in the wake of all that lofty rhetoric about peace and cessation of hostilities.
Just one other quick one on Putin's behavior. The Russian defense minister also awarded orders of courage to the two pilots that were involved in the downing of the U.S. Reaper drone. You know, obviously the U.S. made it very clear that we found that to be unacceptable. Just what do you make of Russia portraying them as national heroes?
I don't know of another military in the world, another air force in the world that would award a pilot for smashing into a drone. If that's bravery, then I guess they got a different definition of it. It's ludicrous. It's insulting. Now, we don't know whether that pilot...
What's up, Wild Turkey? Happy Freedom. He's working on Nightbot. Nightbot was kind of taken over for a second there.
Either way, I mean, in the Navy I grew up in, you don't want to hit anything. Hitting anything's bad for you. So, like, I'm sorry. I got to throw the flag on this one. I have no clue why they would give a bravery award.
He's not only lathered up, he's also a referee.
Maliciously putting himself and U.S. property at great risk, and at best, just an idiot.
Thanks, Karine. John, a question on Canada again. Will President Biden push Prime Minister Trudeau on an international peacekeeping force in Haiti? Can you talk about what specifically, as much as you can, they plan to do in that country?
No question that they'll talk about the situation in Haiti, and both these leaders talked about it when we were in Mexico City. They share a concern about the dire situation down there from a security and humanitarian perspective. This is not something that is unfamiliar to either the Prime Minister or the President. I think they will continue to talk about ways we can continue to support from a humanitarian assistance perspective the people of Haiti and Haitian national security forces. And as for, multinational force or anything like that, again, I don't want to get ahead of the conversation here, but as we've said before, if there's a need for that, if there's a place for that, that's all going to have to be worked out directly with the Haitian government and with the UN. But I won't get ahead of what the conversation's going to be.
One more thing. Do you have an update on Jeff Whitkey? Is he back in the States? Has the president talked to him? Does he plan to talk to him?
No conversations that I'm aware of. You know what? Let me check and see. I don't know that he's actually arrived back here in the States. That's a good question. I owe you an answer to that.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Karine, and thank you, John. I have two questions on China and North Korea. First question, does the United States view on the China and Russia economic and military and technical cooperation agreement? And do you think this will affect the relation with North Korea? And then I follow up.
And what agreement? I'm sorry?
Economic and military and technology.
I'm sorry, and I missed between who?
Between China and Russia.
Between China and Russia.
At this time.
And how that will affect North Korea?
Yeah, how would that go to?
I think it remains to be seen what effect there's going to be with bilateral relations with North Korea, Jacqui. I just...
It's not like he called her a sir.
A little bit more deeply and try to understand it. It certainly doesn't... just at face value.
Thank you so much, Ghostly Method, for joining locals. You're a Officially a hooligan. I appreciate you. Thank you.
China does have influence in Pyongyang, and we continue to urge them to use that influence to help us decrease the tensions there on the peninsula and to enforce the sanctions, the international sanctions, the UN sanctions that have long been in place to try to curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions.
And one more, North Korea. North Korea conducted tactical attack simulations, nuclear weapons simulations recently. And Kim Jong-un ordered to be ready for a nuclear attack at any time. Do you think North Korea's nuclear attack is imminent?
We watch it as closely as we can. There's no indications or no information at this time that would lead us to believe that some sort of actual strike by North Korea is imminent, but we're watching and monitoring as best we can. Again, we urge Mr. Kim to sit down with the United States. Without precondition, we've made this clear, I don't know how many times, willing to sit down without precondition to talk about de-escalation of tensions and denuclearization of the peninsula. He hasn't taken us up on that offer, so we're going to continue to make sure we've got the requisite military capabilities in place.
A couple more. Back on Haiti, Trudeau seems to be rejecting the idea that military force is a way to stabilize Haiti. So will you urge him, will the president urge him to reconsider?
As I think I answered before, we're going to talk about Haiti, and we're going to talk about all the things that we got to continue to do for the Haitian people and for security there on the on that part of the island. And as I said, any discussion about the use of military forces has got to be done. Obviously, it's got to be resonant to sovereign decisions that nations who might be contributing military forces to make, but also it's got to be consistent with the needs and the requirements.
Robert, kill me. Get that lady a subscription to Babbel.
Answer that question.
Thank you. I wanted to see if I could get your reaction to some news coming from Venezuela. On Monday, the President Nicolás Maduro announced an extensive corruption investigation on the state-owned company PDVSA, and as a result, 19 officials have been arrested. The oil minister has resigned. Has the U.S. been following this, and more broadly, how would this affect Chevron's
I don't see Simon in the crowd.
So we certainly support efforts to root out corruption, certainly including there in Venezuela, and we're going to continue to monitor the situation as it develops. As for Chevron, I would note that we provided targeted, time-limited sanctions relief to support efforts to restore democracy and alleviate the suffering of the Venezuelan people. Venezuela's state-owned oil company will not receive profits from the sale of oil, as any profit must go to the repayment of debts to Chevron, and then for any more details, I'd refer you to Chevron.
Follow up on the survey. You said that you support these kind of investigations. Do you think it's a credible investigation coming from President Maduro?
We would expect any investigation to be transparent, to be thorough, and to be as independent as possible. It's just started, so I don't think we're going to grade the homework here before it's done, but we would urge Venezuelan authorities to do this in a very accountable, transparent, and credible way.
Thank you, Karine, and thank you, John. There's been considerable scuttlebutt about the damage that was inflicted on the Nord Stream pipeline. Now, last fall, Jake Sullivan said he believed, and I quote, it was an apparent act of sabotage, and he supported investigations. It's been 6 months now. Has there been any progress on a government investigation, and will we be reading an official account of Nord Stream 2 in any way?
First of all, I applaud you for the appropriate use of the word scuttlebutt. This is a great Navy term. Secondly, I think as Mr. Sullivan mentioned, there are 3 now national investigations being done into the Nord Stream 2 explosion by 3 of our allies. We are not going to get ahead of that. That work is still ongoing. We still do believe it was an act of sabotage. The United States was not involved in any way, contrary to some press reporting out there. But we need to let the work of these investigators go on, and it needs to go on unimpeded and without any without any influence or pressure from anybody else.
No intention of impeding, but can you give us a ballpark when it might be done? I mean,
remember, you got three. You keep saying it. There's three, and each of them are being conducted independently by 3 different nations, and I think we need to let them finish their work. I don't know of any timeline. You'd have to go to their national investigative bodies to find out.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Karine. John, prior to Xi's 3-day visit to Russia, China described this visit as a peace mission. He still hasn't reached out to President Zelensky. How would you describe this 3-day visit?
We would not describe it as a peace mission. We let these 2 leaders characterize it in their own words. What I've said still holds. We noted that they said they were standing up for the UN Charter and for sovereignty, and we agree with that. And if China really wants to be helpful in that regard, they should be urging President Putin to get out of Ukraine. Here we are the day after, and Mr. Putin is launching more drones and missiles into Ukraine. So I don't know if President Xi delivered that message, but if he did, Mr. Putin ignored it. If he didn't, then you got what you got today.
All right, 2 more.
Thank you so much, Karine. I have 2 on TikTok. The first is the administration has supported the Restrict Act, which would clarify the executive branch's legal authority to ban TikTok. Is there anything the CEO could say tomorrow that would convince the White House that that isn't necessary?
I certainly am not going to get ahead of his testimony or how he wants to characterize his company. The president really, as you rightly noted, has been very consistent about our concerns in terms of big tech and particularly some social media applications, and that includes TikTok. So,
what's up, Jedi Mind Trick? Happy freedom.
Underway was not a whole lot that I can talk about right now, but we'll watch. We'll be watching and monitoring his testimony.
They act like they care about TikTok, but then they're not doing anything about it, so they're still monitoring us and collecting information because that's supposedly what they're worried about.
To confirm one way or the other.
Last question.
I wanted to follow up on TikTok. Obviously, you've expressed again today the national security concerns with the app. Why then did the president agree to appear in TikTok videos as recently as, I think, St. Patrick's Day?
Again, we have not changed our national security concerns about the app. It's not for use on government devices, and I don't have anything more for you on that.
Does it send the wrong message if the administration is weighing a ban or could in the future have to weigh it?
We have been very consistent about our concerns over TikTok. There's a CFIUS review underway. I know you want me to tell you more about this, but I'm just not going to get ahead of that. Great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think they just bring Kirby out for a filler because KJP can't hold her weight anymore.
You asked him a question.
And he made use afterwards.
I probably won't. All right, just have one thing at the top, and then we can get going. As I'm sure you're all aware, and I mentioned this earlier in the week, this week we use this week to show how the MAGA House Freedom Caucus budget proposal will be a 5-alarm fire for hardworking Americans. Today, we're revealing how their extreme proposal would ship manufacturing jobs overseas and undermine workers. And here are some examples of how it would do that. Reverse investments by President Biden and congressional Democrats in American manufacturing. Deny 750,000 American workers job training and employment services. Reduce investigations and targeted inspections, so 135,000 workers would lose an average of $1,000 in back wages that they are owed. That's a sharp contrast with the president's Investing in America agenda. That economic strategy is bringing supply chains to America, supporting workers and small businesses, investing in innovation, and fueling a manufacturing boom in communities that have been left behind. The private sector has invested more than $300 billion in manufacturing under President Biden, and the Inflation Reduction Act will create millions of jobs. With shovels are already hitting the ground. Republicans want to reverse that progress and undermine American manufacturing workers.
America
and with that,
great again.
Ahmed, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. First thing, I just wanted to, you could offer a little bit of clarity on the Afghanistan parts of the after action review that's coming out in mid-April that Kirby just referred to. Is that the hot wash that Jake had referred to going back to basically the midst, right, in
Yep.
August 2021. Is that what we should be?
That's what you should be expecting in mid-April.
Okay. I guess if you just add a little bit meat to the bone, why it's, I'm not turning down this review coming out, but
Yes.
why did it take so long?
Look, I'm not going to get into the specifics on the process or of it. I know that Jake had talked. You guys have asked him about this many times, and I would say that we wanted to make sure that we were, take the time to get this right. It is an important question that the American people, an important review that the American people need to know about, and we wanted to make sure that we got this right. I'm not going to get ahead of NSC or our team here on the review, but you could expect it again, as the Admiral said, in mid-April. I'm just going to leave it there for now.
And the Fed said say that the financial upheaval stemming from the collapse of two major banks is likely to result in tighter credit conditions and weigh on economic hiring and inflation. Should Americans expect an economic slowdown because of the banking system?
So look, I'm going to start with
blink, blink, blink.
The Fed is first and foremost. The Fed is independent, and we do not interfere on their policies. We want to make sure, the president wants to make sure that we give them the space, give the Fed the space needed to make their decisions.
We make sure that the president wants to make sure.
Say that. One of the things,
okay.
I'll just repeat, that Chair Powell said, which was, and I quote, "Our banking system is sound."
Slap her in the back of the head.
Capital and liquidity.
She needs a hard reset.
Just leave it there. I won't go beyond what he said.
Finally, just, do you have any reaction in Florida? Governor DeSantis expanding the rules that forbid classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity?
Yeah, it's wrong. It's completely, utterly wrong, and we've been very crystal clear about that when it comes to the Don't Say Gay bill and other actions that this governor has taken in the state of Florida. But make no mistake, this is part of a disturbing and dangerous trend that we're seeing across the country of legislations that are anti-LGBTQI+, anti-trans, anti the community in a way that we have not seen it in some time. And it's not just the LGBTQI+ community. We're talking about students. We're talking about educators. We're talking about just individuals. And so the president has been very clear. This administration has been very clear. We'll continue to fight for the dignity of Americans.
Those people don't have dignity, though.
Of the community, of opportunity that should be given to.
That's the reason they behave the way they do.
In Florida and across the country. So again, this is just plain wrong, and we're going to continue to speak out against it. Go ahead, Mary.
On the economy, does the president still have the same level of confidence that he's had that the U.S. will get through this banking crisis, get through this high inflation without going into a recession?
Look, the president has complete confidence.
What do you think made her want to show up to work today in the same outfit that Jim Carrey wore on Dumb and Dumber?
When we look at how strong the economy is, it's because of the president's work, what he's been able to do, building an economy from the bottom up, middle out, and you see that with the jobs that's been created.
Words are hard. They're real hard for KJP.
Saw 300,000 jobs created, and that continues because of the work that this president has put forward, because of these
Cole, yeah, Peter's there.
Economic policies that have passed under this administration. So we do not see, because of what I just laid out, we do not see a recession.
I've never seen an either.
A strong economy, and it's because of the work that this president has done.
And just on another topic, has the president been briefed on the shooting in Colorado today, and has the White House been in touch with officials out there about this shooting?
So I know this kind of just occurred as I was walking out, so I wasn't able to touch base with the president on.
You be touching his base a lot, do you?
I did see him earlier. I just didn't see him right before this briefing. Our hearts go out.
She's seen him earlier. Mm-hmm. Rolled out of bed.
And to the entire school community. Too many communities are being devastated by gun violence. Denver Public Schools.
She was Biden bed hopping this morning.
Confiscated at least 10 guns from students already this year, and that's just in Denver. From Columbine to Parkland to Newton to countless other tragedies in between. Our schools are too often scenes of gun violence instead of safe spaces for our kids to learn. And I know many of you feel that. I have a kid. I know many of you have a kid.
You have a kid?
So this
How do you
is
have a kid?
devastating to continue.
I thought you only eat tacos.
Last week, the president, as you
How did you do that?
all traveled with us out to
I
California.
need someone to explain. How did you do that?
Another executive order.
Why did anybody let you have a kid?
Address the scourge of gun violence, and he will not stop fighting to keep our.
So if you and your girlfriend break up,
dangerous hands.
who does the court decide has to pay child support if there's no man there?
Steps when it comes to executive actions, and he was able to do another one just last week, as I just mentioned. So the president continues to believe that Congress must also step up and they must also act. It's time for an assault weapons ban. It's time to close loopholes in our background check system. It's time to require safe storage of guns. And as the president said in the State of the Union, Congress needs to do something. It is time, way past time, for Congress to do something. And I'll leave it there.
There's no way she has a
The
kid.
Federal Reserve Chairman said
Not one that she crapped out herself.
too high. Does the president agree?
Look, the president has always said that he's going to do everything that he can to make sure that we work every day to lower cost. He has always said when it comes to his economic plan, the number one thing that he wants to do is lower costs for Americans, and that's why the Inflation Reduction Act is so important. Lowering costs for health care, lowering energy costs. So he's always going to continue to work and take actions to make sure that we're doing that as much as we can in different ways. And you've seen the policies that he's put forward to deal with that. So look, one of the things that Jerome Powell did say about inflation, goods inflation's been coming down now for 6 months. Housing services is really a matter of time passing, and that came from Jerome Powell earlier today.
Given all of that, the price of goods is still high. Americans are paying about $372 more a month, according to one estimate, than they were a year ago. What does the president say to Americans who everything that you say is happening on paper for them, paying that amount of money a month is still a lot?
And we say, and we've been saying, we understand what the American people is feeling. That's not lost on us. That's why we've made it a priority to do everything that we can to lower costs for Americans. There's junk fees. You've heard this president talk about junk fees that we're trying to deal with.
We're not paying $400 extra a month in junk fees, you idiot.
Hearing from different agencies on how we're dealing with junk fees, which is going to matter to Americans. Again, when you think about healthcare costs, lowering the cost on healthcare. And this is why we've made the contrast with what Republicans are trying to do. You see Republicans in the House saying that they want to lower Medicare. They want to cut Medicare. They want to cut Social Security, which is actually going to hurt working Americans. And so we're going to call that out and protect what taxpayers pay into. They want to repeal Inflation Reduction Act, which, by the way, which add to the deficit and also increase costs on health care for Americans. So we're going to continue to do the work. It never stops today or tomorrow. This is something that's going to be consistent in this administration.
Just quickly, I know that earlier this week you said the president still has confidence in Jerome Powell. Now that we see these rate hikes, does that confidence remain?
We still have confidence. The president still has confidence in Jerome Powell. Okay, Kristen.
Great, thank you so much. There's a bipartisan bill that's floating between Senators Rick Scott and Elizabeth Warren that would essentially require an independent inspector general to oversee the Federal Reserve Board of Governors and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Is this something that the president would support?
We just don't have a position on that. I understand the question, Kristen, but we just don't have a position on that at this time.
Is it something that you will be taking a look at? Is it something that the president will be speaking
Look,
to?
we normally
Call on Peter.
Legislation that's created in the House or the Senate. We always take a look, but we just don't have a position to share on this at this time.
As you know, a number of economists were calling for a pause in rate hikes. Is there any concern about the action that the Fed took today?
We're just going to be very mindful from here. Again, the Federal Reserve is independent. That's what the president believes. We want to always give them the space to make the decisions that they need to make on specifically on monetary policies. And so we're just not going to comment.
And let me just ask you one more, Karine. President Biden said several weeks ago that he plans to visit East Palestine. Can you update us on that? When is he going to be visiting East Palestine? and why hasn't he yet?
So the plans are underway, discussions are underway, just don't have anything locked in at this time. The president's words stand on what he shared about at some time going to visit the community. Again, this is a community that the moment that we heard on February 3rd, what occurred in that community hours after, February 4th, the wee early mornings of that day, the president and his team, Environmental Protection Agency and Department of Transportation and other agencies acted right away, and they were on the ground, and the directive from the president was to make sure that we make that community whole.
So you're saying he still plans to visit. What's your message to residents there, to lawmakers there, including Democrats who say he should have been there already?
Look, the president has had his team on the ground since day one. I just laid out hours after we heard about the derailment. We had agencies, administrators or leaders in the different agencies, regional leaders in the different agencies on the ground, taking action and making sure every day to make sure that the community is going to be whole. That is the message that the president is sending.
It's really helpful.
The East Palestine community is that we are going to be there until they are whole again, and make sure that we hold the company responsible, Norfolk Southern, accountable. That is also important. We are cleaning their mess, but we're going to make sure that they are held accountable. Go ahead, Steve.
Thanks, Karine. The messaging from TikTok increasingly is focused on the number of users now up to 150 million. The TikTok CEO is expected to stress that in his testimony tomorrow. Is the app now so popular that it's too late for these national security concerns to be properly addressed?
So, look, I'm just going to repeat what you heard from my colleague, and what I say all the time from here is that we're just not going to comment any further on this app. We've been very clear about the national security risks that we think that it poses. There's a CFIUS review, so we're going to let that go underway and let them do their review. I'm just not going to speak beyond that.
Can I just ask one follow-up
Sure,
on that?
absolutely.
Is there any way you could shed some light on why the CFIUS review process has taken as long as it has? I mean, this is now, the former president tried to ban TikTok more than 2 years ago, and the app has only grown in popularity since. What's taking so long?
So I can't speak to their process. They are doing this independent review, or this process is being clearly done by them. It's a separate process. I'm just not going to speak to the timeline or how long it takes. I can say this, and you've heard me say this last week, we support the passage of Restrict Act, and the whole point of that legislation is to take a tailored and risk-based approach. So we protect Americans, so Americans feel protected. Their freedom of speech is protected while protecting also national security. So I'm just going to leave it there for now. Go ahead. I know I meant to call on you earlier. Go ahead.
Thanks. Chairman Powell, in his remarks today, referenced the role that social media played in the fall of the Silicon Valley Bank, and suggested that regulations might be necessary, might need to be updated to reflect this sort of new environment. Does the White House agree with that assessment by Chairman Powell, and would there be regulations in that space?
I'm not going to go beyond what the chairman said. I think we've been very clear about the role of social media in reforming Section 230. I just don't have more to share on that. I'm just not going to elaborate on what he said.
And just one other quick one. The White House has yet to appoint a vice chair for the Fed. Sort of given the last few weeks and the turbulence, is there any sort of timeline that you could share with us, or could you share whether there's been any heightened, urgency in filling that role?
I don't have anything to preview to you at today. The president's taken this open appointment very seriously. As soon as we have something to share, we certainly will do that. Good.
Thanks, Karine. Today was the first time since the Fed started raising interest rates that they didn't say that they anticipated ongoing increases. So I'm wondering, would the White House welcome an end to interest rate hikes in the future?
Again, this is something that the Federal Reserve decides on. We're going to give them the space to make these monetary decisions, to make these monetary policies. That's what the president believes. We're certainly not going to interfere or get involved in that process. So I'm just going to leave it there.
And then your second favorite topic, which is TikTok.
TikTok is the topic today.
This is without getting into the CFIUS process or any of the sensitivities there.
She acts all surprised as if she didn't already screen all the questions.
Oppose banning the social media app. And so I'm just wondering, as this administration has talked about the national security concerns around this app, and this is really a communications question, Does the president need to do a better job of explaining to Americans, explaining to TikTok users why this app represents such a national security concern?
Look, our job is to make sure, and the president's job is to make sure that Americans, when it comes to national security, is protected. We've been very clear about that.
That's why you just keep letting it happen?
About our concern.
Let the China spy balloon fly over the whole country?
We understand. We understand the.
You don't understand nothing, KJP. You shut your face.
But the president's job is to make sure, again, that the Americans' national security.
You hooligans like Klaus Daniels.
Is protected as well, and that's.
He's a pretty famous cat, though.
We're gonna wait for the CFIUS review.
It makes me look small, but I'm 200 pounds. So when you see big beefy over here in my arms, I weighed him yesterday. He's a 14.5-pound chicken nugget right now.
Security concerns.
That's a big nugget.
To a significant portion of the population.
No, understand your question. I think the president's main focus is Americans' national security, and that's what you have seen him do from this administration.
And real quick on Phil Washington, the administration's nominee for the FAA. The Senate Commerce Committee abruptly delayed his committee vote. This comes nearly 8 months after Phil Washington was initially nominated. The FAA has now been without a permanent director for nearly a year amid a lot of turmoil in the aviation industry. And so I guess I'm wondering why the administration is so intent on digging in on a nominee who, after 8 months of being nominated, still doesn't seem to have convinced senators that he deserves this position.
So look, we think he has the qualification. When I say we, I mean Phil Washington. He has the qualifications and the experience for this role. The president believes that, and that's what our administration believes as well. He has led the Denver International Airport, one of the busiest airport in the world, managed large transportation safety organization, and served as a command sergeant major in the military. This is a role with a key safety mandate, and that's what we believe. We believe that he is experienced for this role. I'll say one more thing. We're going to continue to urge Senate to move swiftly on his confirmation, and we heard today from Senator Cantwell herself has made clear that Phil Washington's nomination will receive full consideration from the committee, and that's coming from the senator herself. Okay, Nandita.
Thanks, Karine. Bank CEOs have been meeting in D.C. since yesterday to discuss possible scenarios to help First Republic, which continues to be...
She's just not going to call on Peter, or what?
Any details in the conversations White House officials have been having with industry executives and bank CEOs, specifically on First Republic?
I just don't have anything to preview today on or for you on any conversations with bank CEOs at this time.
Will there be communication that you will put out?
I just don't have a readout at this time or anything to share with you.
And specifically on meetings with investors that we understand, administration officials and White House officials have been having. We know Warren Buffett, has met senior administration officials. We just ran a story about Jamie Dimon. He has a planned meeting with Leo Brainerd. Are they talking about throwing a lifeline? Are they talking specifically about First Republic? Any details on, what the White House is talking to investors about?
I just don't have any details of those conversations, these private conversations that they're having. Don't have anything to share on that. So I'm just going to leave it there. As it relates to the First Republic, again, I'm just not going to comment on any specific institutions from here because of the actions that we took last week, earlier this week and last week. Americans can be confident that their deposits are safe, and banks have access to resources to meet depositors' demand. That's what you've seen from Treasury, and that's what you've seen from the banking regulators at the direction of this president, and we're seeing that deposit flows are stabilized, but I'm not going to comment about any specific institution from here. Okay.
I have a question on a review on GI Bill funding. It found that the University of Phoenix has received more GI Bill funding than any
guy Dub. Peter's now their Simon. Yeah, they push Simon out. They might be able to push Peter out. They do that. We're not even going to cover this stuff anymore.
Military veterans. Is there any cause for concern for the amount of funding it's receiving, especially as the president has made an effort to rein in predatory colleges?
So look, I have not seen that report, so I'm not going to comment specifically on what's occurring there locally. What I can say is the GI Bill is something that's incredibly important for our military veterans, and so just don't want to go beyond a report that I haven't read.
And then I have another question. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott has installed more than 130 miles of razor wire on federal land in the Rio Grande Canal. Abbott didn't seek the required permits to do this, and has doubled down on yesterday on Twitter saying that they are not going to ask permission to do this. Does the administration plan to sue Texas like they did in Arizona over former Governor Doug Ducey's makeshift border barrier?
That's a question for the Department of Justice. I don't have anything to share here. But more broadly on the governor in Texas, this is another political stunt that we've seen from him over and over again. Instead of dealing with an issue in a way,
they are name calling political stunts.
Results. He continues to have political
political stunts because you guys won't guard the border.
Because what it's going to do is actually hurt.
What's he supposed to do?
That he is supposed to represent. And this is a president that has, when it comes to working to secure the border, dealing with a real issue, he's taken action. He's catched record levels of fentanyl because of the work that he's done, because of the record levels of funding. We support 23,000 agents.
Yeah, the cat's name is Klaus Daniels.
And we take
in a big old chicken nugget.
8,000 smugglers off the streets. We want solutions. We want real
What's up, Chesh?
that are going to matter to the American people. And that's not what the Governor Abbott is all about. Okay, Karen.
Two topics, if I can. Was anyone at the White House ever flagged about issues with Silicon Valley Bank ahead of its collapse, given that the Fed was aware of the risks for more than a year?
That part, I don't have an answer for you on that. I can tell you that it's been about 2 weeks. So that Friday, right, we were made aware of what was occurring, and we took action. The president directed the Treasury and the banking regulators.
Pumpkin gnome. I mean, sometimes I'll give Klaus chicken or something, but I try not to do that because then he doesn't want to eat his cat food. He wants gourmet meals every day after that. Gave him soft food for his birthday, and he wouldn't eat his food for like 3 or 4 days afterwards. He just sat here and meowed at me.
I just don't have any.
So now I got to be cautious doing that because he gets all stuck up.
I don't have a timeline to. Yeah, I can tell you about the timeline for the last 2 weeks, but beyond that, I don't have any timeline to share.
Second topic. Can you give us a preview of the event the president's doing tomorrow on the anniversary of the Affordable Care Act? Who's coming to that event? What's his message? Is there any new announcements?
We'll have more to share later today on that event, for sure. Okay. I'm going to go around. Go ahead.
Call on, Peter.
Another question on the Affordable Care Act. The ACA notably led to a significant reduction in the number of uninsured Black Americans. However, there are still millions of Black Americans who don't have insurance, and there remains a significant gap between uninsured Black Americans and white Americans. Healthcare policy experts say that states expanding Medicaid could significantly close that gap. Can you talk to some of the inner workings in the administration to push states to expand Medicaid, and are there other ways that the administration can ensure that there's a reality for Black Americans to have affordable healthcare?
Yeah, and this is why the president's economic policy is what it is, which meaning that he has had a policy, again, make sure that we have an economy that is from the bottom up, middle out, and not leave anybody behind. Communities that you're talking about right now, the African American community and other communities across the country. But I'll say this, as we've seen some progress made under ACA by lowering healthcare prices, increasing the number of Americans with insurance, and capping out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare. That is something that this administration has worked on this last 2 years. And it brings me back to the Inflation Reduction Act, right? How important it is, especially for many members of the Black community. When you think about Medicare being able to lower cost for our seniors across the board. When you think about the insulin cap for Americans. That's what you saw from the Inflation Reduction Act for seniors in particular, and then you saw Eli Lilly, what they were able to do, and others what they were able to do for all Americans. That's because of the work that this president has done. And so we understand that there's still millions of people that need a lot more, but because of the president's economic policy, because of his understanding of what healthcare means to people, his personal understanding of that, he has done the work to make sure that people who are normally forgotten are not. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you, Karine. House Oversight says they've got bank records showing a Chinese energy company paying 3 Biden family members through a third party. What were they paid for?
Look, I'm just not going to respond to that from here. Look, we have heard
no reason why
for years and years and years how the inaccuracies and lies when it comes to this issue, and I don't even know where to begin to even answer that question, because again, it's been lies and lies and inaccuracy for the past couple years, and I'm just not going to get into it from here.
Okay. She told Putin at their meeting, change is coming that hasn't happened in 100 years, and we are driving this change together. What do you think that means?
You would have to ask them.
Okay. President Biden said, to lower inflation, we should trust the Fed. Now the Fed is saying that rate hikes won't be enough to quell inflation. Why does he still trust the Fed?
They're an independent agency. The president has always said that. He wants them to be independent. He wants to make sure they have the space to make these monetary decisions. We are not going to interfere. We are not going to get involved, and I'm certainly not going to comment. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, yeah, you better run away. Trash bags.
Guys, on Monday.
Calm down, Klaus. Don't get her. Don't get her. Human garbage bag. My goodness. Peter had her running away. That was worth the wait. He got her. She didn't have no answers. She didn't even have a response for why she didn't have answers. How's Daniels? What are you doing? He's looking for more screen time. My goodness. Well, hooligans, I'm debating on doing a watch party. I don't know. I gotta get my taxes done, and this is like starting to become like an all-day thing. Well, trying to think. I think we should just wrap this up. I do have 2 things for the free speech platforms only, but they're not really that big of news articles. And I don't get to do the Pledge of Allegiance with all you hooligans over on YouTube. I haven't in a long time. It's not my fault. I just can't end the show over there because I got too much to cover, and too much stuff is against community guidelines because community guidelines on YouTube are so strict. They're so strict. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the spiel deal. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to do it with a tactical cat strapped to my back. Just in case. Just in case. Alright, so give me a second here. Alright, hooligans, when you get a second, please go to JeffMAClive.com. You should be able to find the link in the description. Otherwise, we'll post it all over the place. On the home page, you can find all of my links listed. You can find the link to join Gilded for free. Gilded is currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live. Every time we go live, there's a news board on Gilded to keep you up to date with everything going on around the world. And there's a ton of hooligans to hang out with all day, every day, to chat it up about pretty much whatever you like. So definitely join Gilded. Also on the JeffMAC Live homepage, you can find links to the merch store if you would like to grab some merch. We have shirts, hoodies, stickers, and coffee mugs. Everything is displayed in black and white or white and black, but if you find something you like, just click on that item to see all the colors that item comes in. You can also find links to PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, Zelle, and Buy Me a Coffee, as well as locals if you would like to support what I do. There's a link to the Amazon wish list if you would like to send me stuff. It's really easy to use. Anything you purchase directly from the wish list will be sent straight to me without having to send emails, find addresses, or anything like that. It's really simple. And then finally, there is links to join the membership programs. We have memberships for YouTube, Gilded, Discord, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. And then JeffMacLive.com is the freest place on the internet. So if you get a membership for JeffMacLive.com, you'll get your own profile. You'll be a part of the private community social media spot. You'll be able to access the live streaming area with a private chat to chat it up with all the hooligans that are over there right now. You'll also have access to exclusive information that is not released anywhere else. We have J6 footage there. We're going to have DOJ documents there with my face on them and information and all kinds of other stuff that I didn't realize they were documenting about me. We're going to have unreleased episodes and stuff that was taken down from YouTube long ago when the riots were going on. All that stuff is going to be available there and more, so definitely go join JeffMacLive.com. All right, hooligans, let's get ready for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hillbilly at heart. We talked about the Mothership. We talked about it earlier. Just rewind. All right, hooligans, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, hooligans. Well, that's that for now. Make sure you join Gilded. If you're following me on social media, hit the bell icon. That way you'll be notified every time I post. I'll let you guys know if we have anything else going on today. I'm running out of time. I got to get my taxes done. I can't keep screwing around and pushing it off and stuff. I work all day and then I get exhausted and then I don't want to sit here and do paperwork. So I was up till pretty much 5 o'clock in the morning last night trying to get this stuff taken care of, and I'm not done. I got 80 documents taken care of. But I probably still have another 80 more. Me and Klaus Daniels here. This is my tax guy. He handles everything for me. Make sure I don't mess stuff up because I don't need problems with the IRS. No, sir. All right. So I will be in touch with all of you hooligans. Stay connected to me on Gilded. Join JeffMacLive.com. It's the freest place in the internet. Big shout out to everyone that's been joining locals and stuff like that. Rumble wrote me back on Twitter yesterday saying that pretty soon all the members of locals will get badges in the Rumble chat, so that'll be cool. That'll be competing with YouTube and stuff over on the free speech platforms. But if you're a part of JeffMacLive.com, you'll already get all the goodies we have over there. So big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership program, or purchased any merch. I really appreciate you guys, and I wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap.
JeffMAC.